Yesterday, a key Trump ally lobbed a pretty serious accusation against the prominent Trump surrogate, and this dust-up is ruffling a lot of feathers in MAGA world because with the election being so close, one would think they'd want to be more cautious so as to not inflict any harm in the final stretch of the campaign, but of course, that's too much to expect from Trump world. I mean, Trump himself was literally just pantomiming dick-sucking at a rally, so of course his allies and his surrogates aren't even going to pretend to be normal until the election is over because they can't. They can't even fake it to make it because they're weird. But underneath all of the drama is an accusation that is substantial, and it stems from a joint fundraising agreement made between the Trump campaign and RFK Jr.'s campaign. So RFK Jr. shared a donation link to his pro-Trump website, mahanow.org, and if you don't have brainworms and have no idea what MAHA means, it refers to the RFK contingent of Trump support, which means Make America Healthy Again. I'm sorry that you now know this, but nonetheless, it's important for purposes of this video. Now, Laura Loomer responded to that fundraising tweet alleging, quote, "None of this money that Robert Kennedy Jr. is raising is going towards Donald Trump's campaign, like RFK Jr. has claimed below. The fine print on the donation landing page says the money raised will go toward paying off RFK Jr.'s campaign debts from the Democrat primary. Hey, RFK Jr., if you're an official Trump surrogate, why are you raising money on a separate platform that isn't affiliated with Trump? And why are you lying and saying this money will benefit Trump when it clearly says it will be used to pay off your campaign debt from the Democrat primary in which you attacked Trump? This is called deceptive fundraising. You're trying to exploit MAGA. This money doesn't go to Trump. That's not a Trump fundraising link." And she went on to share this screenshot, which shows that it is a contribution to Team Kennedy, and it says any amount of $3,300 to the general election will go to the primary election fund, and that is to pay off his campaign debt. Now, she followed up by saying that contributions over $6,600 goes to the Kennedy Victory Fund, which goes into the coffers of the Libertarian Party, and argues this is deceptive and it's disrespectful to Donald Trump. RFK Jr. should not be saying he's raising money to help Trump. She then called it a scam, accused him of lying, and claimed that he's not sending any of the money to Trump, and called it shameful deception. So she is effectively alleging that he is deceiving Trump supporters, scamming them, and potentially violating federal campaign finance laws, which is a very serious allegation. Now, there's a lot of problems with our current campaign finance system because Supreme Court justices appointed by Republican presidents that Laura Loomer presumably supported decided that unlimited sums of money in our elections is actually A-OK. In particular, in 2014, the McCutcheon decision lifted the cap on donations individuals could give to candidates every election cycle. So individuals used to be limited to giving the maximum of $2,600 to a single candidate, and a total of $48,600 per election cycle if they wanted to give to other candidates. So they would be able to max out to about 18 candidates. So if you're super rich, you weren't allowed to send a max donation to every candidate due to that $48,000 cap. You could still buy a lot of politicians, but not all of them. But with McCutcheon, the Supreme Court struck down that $48,000 limit, but kept the $2,600 maximum for individual candidates. And the FEC has since bumped up the individual limit from $2,600 to $2,900, and now it's at $3,300 per candidate. And this Supreme Court decision right here led to the rise of joint fundraising agreements, like the one we're seeing now between RFK Jr. and Donald Trump's campaign. Now, as NBC News explains, these committees act as one-stop shops for donors willing to write large checks. Individual campaigns, PACs, and party committees can join a JFC and share donations based on a predetermined formula. So a donor can write one large check that the JFC then divides up between the entities, rather than writing several smaller checks to individual groups. Donors giving to a JFC must still abide by individual contribution limits, which include $3,300 to a candidate per election, $5,000 per year to a PAC, $10,000 per year to a state or local party committee, and $41,300 for a national party committee per year. Now, these JFCs are mutually beneficial to both parties, and it lets large donors effectively get around that $3,300 limit. So why does this all matter? Well, the reason why RFK Jr. is directing contributions to Team Kennedy and Kennedy Victory Fund as opposed to the Trump Victory Fund is because he's giving Trump's large donors who've already maxed out to Trump the ability to send another max donation, albeit through the proxy that Kennedy set up. So if somebody donated, say, $3,400 to Kennedy, it would be illegal for him to disperse that extra $100 to the same campaign, since that would be over the legal limit. In other words, she's hilariously accusing him of stealing money from Trump supporters when he is helping Trump raise more money. And you would think that she would understand this, since she literally ran for Congress herself multiple times, but apparently not. So Laura Loomer is crying fraud when she quite literally has no idea what she is talking about. And I don't like RFK Jr., but what he's doing here has given us no indication that he's violating federal election laws or deceiving Trump supporters, especially for the fact that it states pretty clearly, as she pointed out, where the money is going. It may be unethical, but there's nothing illegal being done here thanks to her party. And she's making it seem like Donald Trump's working class supporters could be misled here, and they might think that they're giving money to Donald Trump when in actuality, they're giving money to something that they don't actually support. But this is for wealthy people, right? If you're wealthy enough to donate $3,300 to any politician, odds are you probably know exactly where that money is going. This isn't for working class people. This is for rich people. But because she fundamentally misunderstands what she's talking about, other Trump allies who see how wrong she is decided to pounce, and they attacked her pretty viciously. For example, Roger Stone responded saying, "This is false. RFK's campaign just dropped one of the best pro-Trump ads of the year, and a friend in Wisconsin who is an RFK supporter told me he got a call from RFK's campaign today urging him to vote for Trump." Now, since Roger Stone, who's a dumbass himself, didn't explain why she was wrong, she predictably doubled down because she thinks she's right, saying the fine print clearly says the money is going to pay off his Democrat Party debt. It's not going into Trump's campaign account. My post is accurate. This isn't personal. This is showing people where their money is going so they know what they are donating to. It's the ethical thing to do. Now, he replied with a burn saying, "You're wrong. You have no fundamental understanding of the federal election law, which is why you lost 2 campaigns for Congress. Ouch. Perhaps you should spend your time not attacking people who are on the same side as you are 2 days before the election. #amateur." And the replies to her were practically begging her to just shut the fuck up, even though they probably also didn't really understand what was going on. "Laura, for the love of God, stop it. Drop it." This person says, "The timing couldn't be worse to do this. Why? What are you doing 2 days from Election Day? Laura, what are you doing? You're sabotaging this election. I genuinely believe RFK Jr. has good intentions. Please stop." And probably my favorite, instead of attacking Kamala, you attack an effective Trump surrogate. Very suspicious. My favorite thing in the entire world is when the followers of conspiracy theorists start to make up conspiracies about the person that they're following who's spreading these conspiracy theories to their audience. That will never not be funny to me. And what makes it even more hilarious is the fact that they're accusing her of sabotaging Trump's campaign after she's essentially saying, "Hey, everybody, RFK Jr., he's sabotaging Trump's campaign by stealing money from it." This is what happens when your entire movement is propped up by delusional conspiracy theorists. It inevitably collapses in on itself in a black hole of conspiracism. But I mean, even though Loomer has zero evidence that RFK Jr. is stealing from Trump or breaking any laws, I don't think that it's wrong to say that he is indeed sabotaging Trump's campaign, because I think you can actually make that case. Now, I don't think that he's doing it purposefully, but he is doing that unwittingly and with the help of Donald Trump. But his usefulness as a surrogate is so much more overstated than Trump's other surrogates and what Trump says himself. For example, let's hear about Trump's role for RFK Jr. if he gets elected.
The key that I think that President Trump has promised me is control of the public health agencies, which are HHS and its sub-agencies, CDC, FDA, NIH, and a few others, and then also the USDA, which is key to making America healthy.
And I told a great guy, RFK Jr., Bobby, I said, "Bobby, you work on women's health, you work on health, you work on what we eat."
Oh, goody. So this nut job is going to be in control of federal health agencies, and Trump is going to have him work on women's health, whatever that means. Now, the Kamala campaign juxtaposed that video of Trump saying that RFK Jr. is going to work on women's health with this video from RFK Jr. from 2023 at the Iowa State Fair saying this about a federal abortion ban.
Would you sign a federal protection to protect the rights that were in the Roe precedent if you were president?
I believe that a decision to abort a child should be up to the women during the first 3 months of life.
So you would cap it at 15 weeks?
Yes.
Or 21
Yes.
weeks?
Yeah, for 3 months.
So 3 months. You would sign a federal cap on that?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
So the guy who's going to work on women's health in the Trump administration said that he wants a federal abortion ban after 3 months. Very interesting. Now, to be fair, he did walk back that statement because at the time he was still running in a Democratic Party primary and probably realized that that wasn't the most popular position to take. But that alone should still disqualify him. Because what happens if a woman is 6 months pregnant and she finds out that it's a non-viable pregnancy and it's life-threatening? Assuming he's kind enough in that scenario to grant exceptions to the woman, how sick does she have to be for a doctor to be able to perform that procedure without the fear of reprisal? How certain does the doctor have to be that she'll die without the procedure? I mean, a pregnant 18-year-old died in Texas after getting sepsis, and finally, on her third trip to the ER, she was admitted into intensive care where an obstetrician insisted on giving her not one, but 2 ultrasounds to confirm that the fetus was indeed non-viable before giving her the abortion that she needed. Now, we don't know if she could have been saved if the obstetrician opted for 1 ultrasound as opposed to 2. How much time that would have saved, we don't know. But the guy who once said government should play some kind of a role in that process right there is going to be the one Trump said that's going to be working on women's health. Yeah, hard pass. But it gets so much worse because RFK Jr. also plans to remove fluoride from public water, and Trump is apparently totally cool with it, which would be disastrous for no reason because fluoride simply protects our enamel and prevents us from getting cavities. So, I mean, if you remove that from the water, millions of Americans will have to pay dental bills that they can't afford because some dipshit with a brainworm probably thinks that there's like 18 different conspiracies about fluoride and that it's turning the population gay or something. So this simple thing that we can do to protect our enamel goes away like that because this loon is in charge. But it gets worse because Trump was asked whether or not he would ban certain vaccines as president after announcing that he would put anti-vax loon RFK Jr. in charge of HHS, and he was non-committal. And he refused to give an answer about vaccines after being asked multiple times.
Guys, you said last time, President Trump, you said last time you essentially let Robert F. Kennedy Jr. do whatever he wants with health care.
Well, he's going to have a big role in healthcare. In fact, we just left. In fact, I think he might be here.
He's right here.
Where is he?
Will he run HHS?
His views on vaccines, President?
We'll be talking about a lot of things, but he's going to have a big role in healthcare, a very big role. He knows it better than anybody. He's got some views that I happen to agree with very strongly, and I have for a long time. I mean, for years, you and I we'll be seeing it as it
What about
as
his
it
views
comes.
on vaccine and maybe a position on
All of these
HHS?
things will be talked about in
This meeting.
I'll just say, the fact that he won't unequivocally assure the American people that he won't ban certain vaccines is a pretty bad sign. Which vaccines are we talking about here? Polio? Measles, mumps, rubella? What diseases that were nearly eradicated because of vaccines should we bring back? He won't answer that question. And despite the Republican Party's attempts to sane wash this lunatic, he's been pretty clear from the beginning that he's against all vaccines.
My mother, when she found out you were coming on, she's a big Democrat, she says, he's dangerous. He's an anti-vaxxer. He says that autism comes from vaccines, and you must challenge him on that, Jesse. Is my mom crazy?
Well, I do believe that autism does come from vaccines.
Hey, RFK, I'm not sure if you realize this, but he was giving you the chance to try to appear sane, and you fucking blew it. When the Fox host is like, hey, do you think maybe you've gone a little bit too far? He's like, no, actually, I haven't gone far enough. You're correct to think that I'm a lunatic. But in conclusion, This is why I think it's reasonable to argue that RFK Jr. is indeed sabotaging Trump's campaign, not because he's stealing from Trump or anything like that, but because someone that unhinged and conspiratorial being in charge of public health is not going to sit well with the Americans that still have common sense. We do still exist. There are dozens of us, potentially hundreds, I hope. But it's also Trump's fault as well, though, to be clear, because he's the one that broadcasted his intent to put RFK Jr. in charge of our public health. That's kind of important. So when you say you're going to put this crazy person in charge of public health, something that affects all of us in a profound way, you're kind of undermining your own campaign. But I mean, between this and the fake dick sucking at campaign rallies, it doesn't seem like he even wants to win. Like, it seems like he's actually trying to undermine his own campaign. And that might be because he's just running to stay out of jail. Who knows if he even wants to be president? But regardless of what his intent is, RFK Jr. is one of many reasons why I hope that man doesn't get anywhere near the White House.
Like, everywhere there's glows. You see them all the time. I mean, it's constant. My children will be like, Mama, glow, 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 glow. I turn on TV, there's glows in the background. Every TV show, news media,
glow, 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 glow.
They're everywhere.
Glow, 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 glow.